with the Sharon Tate and the Manson family murders, we really see a different aspect of Dr. Noguchi's career in which he had the perspective and the notion that this was a cult-like ritual, that it could not have been committed by one person, but nobody believed him. And I think that sort of set him on this like trajectory of being this expert and being ahead of the law enforcement. And really shortly after that, we then go into the era of Quincy and this popularization of forensics, in like a Hollywood setting. This craze, this genre of I think true crime in a lot of ways, but like CSI, death investigation, it really does go back to Noguchi.
Do you want to start off by talking about how you came to make a film about Dr. Noguchi?
Sure. So my involvement with the world, I guess you could say, of medical examiners and coroners actually dates back to my childhood, believe it or not, because my father was a coroner medical examiner in the Atlanta metro area. So growing up, I was able to witness firsthand just sort of what it took to be involved in that world, and really I think the sacrifice that these public servants make to their families, to their communities, in order to do this like great public service. But really the origins of the film go back to Dr. Noguchi's book. So I have producer Tommy Andres, and he was at a used bookstore here in Los Angeles, and he saw this book Coroner, and I believe I saw an audience member who brought the book, which is really cool to see that it's still in circulation and folks are still reading it. But he found this book at a used bookstore, and it was on the $1 book rack, which I think is really undervaluing Dr. Noguchi's story. It's worth way more than $1, and we could get into that with the cost of the archival if you want. Oh, exactly. So he saw this book, and he's like, this is interesting. I wonder what this guy's up to. And then that really began this relationship that we built with Dr. Noguchi. We reached out to him. Of course, he was not immediately excited to participate in something like this because he saw us as, members of the media or press, and obviously he had a very contentious relationship with the press. So it took time to develop and foster that relationship and convince him that, no, we want to tell your story. We are filmmakers. We are, trying to tell an artistic version of these events, and we're not just trying to. We want to go deeper than the headlines, right? And so it took convincing to get him to that place where he was ready to participate in something like this. And then fast forward down the road, independent filmmaking is very challenging. And luckily, along the way, you're able to develop relationships with producers and other really talented folks. I have a couple of producers here tonight, John Henry Hinkle, also Billy Ray Bruton, who really helped introduce me to other talented individuals like Keita Ideno here, who came on board the project and really took what was, 100 years worth of footage, because Dr. Noguchi is 99 years old. He's still with us to this day. He was going to be at the screening this evening and had to cancel last minute this morning. He just got back.
We almost got the coroner to the stars.
Yeah. He was just in Japan. He got back 3 days ago. But my producers introduced me to Keita, who came on board initially as our editor. But as I'm sure many of you are familiar with watching a lot of documentaries and whatnot, and the role of the editor is so important. And really, what Keita did was put together a story with so much footage that we had, and such an incredible, archive of resources that we got from Dr. Noguchi and other sources, and really Keita synthesized that story and really became the storytelling partner that I needed, and my directing partner, and I'm so grateful for Keita. So I'll let him speak to how he got involved.
So Ben brought the project to me, and I was very fortunate to be part of this project because I didn't know nothing about Dr. Noguchi. I'm also from Japan, and I didn't grow up watching Dr. Noguchi on TV during the 80s. So, but he explained me about him and about the project, and I was kind of I was shocked. Why I didn't know about this guy from Japan. I guess still Japanese people don't know about him, So he achieved so much during his life. So it was kind of challenging how we structure the story, but from the beginning, Ben had a story line that let's follow his past chronologically. That was kind of the main idea we tried, and actually our first cut was a lot longer, close to 2.5 hours, but it made it to close to 90 minutes. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, how did you decide which of the higher profile cases that Dr. Noguchi worked on to include in the film?
Yeah, so there are several cases that we don't include. For instance, Dr. Noguchi performed the autopsy of Janis Joplin, right, and the SLA murders and shootout as well. And so many of the cases that Dr. Noguchi worked on were interesting, that weren't celebrities, right? The circumstances surrounding those deaths that weren't stars. The reason we focused in on the stars was simply that, the fact that they are celebrities, and I feel like the idea of celebrity death is sort of taboo, and I don't think has been explored in a film. Like this one, from a scientific angle, from a perspective of the person who was dealing with this case and dealing with the ramifications of having to speak with the press, and not just like the sensational aspects of their death. Obviously, sensationalism plays a big part in the story, and it was something that Dr. Noguchi was accused of, but really to explore celebrity death investigations from this perspective of the person who conducted the autopsies, I felt like was a pretty unique opportunity for us. So deciding on the cases, really, like the book was a great reference for us, but like each of these cases were tent poles, not only in Los Angeles history and American history, right? Like the assassination of Robert Kennedy and the fear that struck not only Los Angeles but America with the Charles Manson family murders. These are like tent poles of American culture, and also Dr. Noguchi's career. So each time that he had one of these high-profile cases, he was met with media and public scrutiny, and I think the surprising aspect of the film to me and Dr. Noguchi's career and the role of chief medical examiner coroner in Los Angeles is how political it is. It's such a surprisingly political role. So it made sense to focus on the celebrity cases. And with each one, I hope that we, like, I think Keita did an excellent job with the edit, and we really tried to highlight a different aspect of the role of chief medical examiner coroner, and a different aspect of death investigation, right? Like with Marilyn Monroe, we really get into the idea of the psychological autopsy, which is different from the physical autopsy. With the Sharon Tate and the Manson family murders, we really see a different aspect of Dr. Noguchi's career in which he had the perspective and the notion that this was a cult-like ritual, that it could not have been committed by one person, but nobody believed him. Noguchi was the expert, but nobody would listen to him. And why would they not listen to him? I mean, I think that's a greater argument. I think a lot of that has to do with him being Japanese American at the time that he was. But he was very much ahead of his time, and still has continued to pioneer the field even after he was demoted and even after he was fired so publicly. So really knowing that they were celebrity cases, it wasn't just that we wanted, of course, that's the hook. Like, we want people to enjoy the movie and the cinematic experience. So, like, focusing on these celebrity cases was an obvious choice, but in knowing that we were doing that, we wanted to highlight a different aspect of the role of the coroner and how that these cases and these moments, like, really impacted his career in a significant way.
I loved what he said about Marilyn Monroe when he said, he knew that people didn't want to hear him say that she had committed suicide. And he felt like he understood what that was about, is that she meant so much to people that they couldn't bear to hear him say what he thought was the truth, is that she had committed suicide, because it hurt too much when you have idolized this person. I actually did my master's thesis on William Desmond Taylor, who was murdered in 1922. And that, all three of us that have done research on William Desmond Taylor all agree that case was never solved because of the studio's relationship with the police and the DA at the time, which in the 1920s, the studios could do pretty much whatever they wanted to. And so that's really reflected in this film, the fact that he's disobeying the studio system and Frank Sinatra and everybody else and saying, hey, this is what really happened to William Holden. I'm sorry you don't want me to say it, but was the William Holden case the one that lost him his job the second time? The Frank Sinatra letter, do you think that's directly what lost him his job?
I think it was a combination. One thing we talked about was sort of like the 1, 2, 3 punch, right? Like, you had the William Holden case, and he was a known drinker. And then when Dr. Noguchi made that a part of his autopsy report, of course, like, Hollywood elites and political individuals weren't happy about that because he was so revered. Then you had something similar, but even further, more mysterious happen with Natalie Wood, and that was the second punch. And then the third being John Belushi. So these were sort of in rapid succession, and it was hard for, in my perspective, it was hard for Dr. Noguchi to deal with this, like, onslaught, this 1, 2, 3 punch, this rapid succession. Yeah. And yes, it is his job to reveal the scientific findings, which include the fact that Natalie Wood was drunk, the fact that William Holden was drunk. However, did he navigate this perfectly? I mean, I hope that the documentary asks that question in a way that doesn't necessarily have a clean answer, which Dr. Noguchi during that press conference, I think the pivotal moment, you asked about William Holden, but I think the pivotal moment is the Natalie Wood press conference, because he is asked Was there? Tell me about this argument. What about the argument? And Dr. Noguchi says, apparently there was an argument, and apparently, someone heard screams. He says apparently, I think 3 or 4 times in one sentence. And Dr. Noguchi, for the scientist that he was, the incredible scientist that he still is to this day, I don't know how an autopsy would tell you that somebody screamed, that there were screams that were heard. So, like, is there valid criticism to be had about the way that he dealt with the press and some of these questions that were thrown at him? I think so. But also, English wasn't his first language, and I think there were obstacles with that. But I'm curious what you think too, Keita.
To me, when I cut the scene, there was facts in a police report saying there was argument. If I'm not mistaken, there was. So that's the thing he tried to explain to the media, but at the same time, he's not a native English speaker, so that's why kind of he couldn't explain how he wanted to explain exactly. So that got him, got into trouble. Yeah, that's my thought.
The crazy thing about Natalie Wood is I was a teaching assistant for Tom Mankiewicz, who was Joe Mankiewicz's son, and Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood were his best friends. And I was afraid to ask him about what happened to Natalie Wood. But my opinion now, looking back on it, is Robert Wagner was his best friend. He never, I don't think, ever would have thought that Robert Wagner did something to her. Yeah. So I wanted to ask, I watch a lot of true crime, and the time period that in which he was coroner was Los Angeles was overrun with serial killers, right? Do you know if he worked on any of the famous serial killer cases like Hillside Stranglers or any of the ones that were in his time? There were like 3 freeway killers. There were, I think Richard Ramirez might have been after his time, was like 83, 84. Do you know if he worked on any of?
Do you know, Keita? Okay.
No.
No, I really don't know about those cases. One case I know something about, in more of like from a cultural standpoint, is there was this case of this body that was, we're in LA, and there was some set, and there was a body that was like part of a set design, like a corpse, for some scary movie or something, and when they were working on some sort of scene or set deck, like the arm fell off, and it became clear that this wasn't just like a plastic prop, that it was an actual real corpse. And then they therefore conducted an autopsy on this mummified corpse that had basically gone through the circuit of like sideshows and circuses, and there was a Broadway musical made about this corpse called Dead Outlaw a couple last year or the year before. And anyway, the New York Times ended up writing a big piece about Dead Outlaw and interviewing Dr. Noguchi for it, because he conducted the posthumous autopsy on this corpse and was able to help identify the origins of it and where this sideshow corpse came from. And Dr. Noguchi concluded with that autopsy that this body had been through enough, that we weren't giving dignity and respect to the dead, and so he decided to that he would do the autopsy under the condition that the body was buried and covered in cement and never disturbed again. But what's interesting was that I was able to go and see this Broadway show, and Dr. Noguchi is a character in this Broadway show, and he's singing and he's dancing and he's enjoying his spotlight and singing about Marilyn Monroe and Natalie Wood, and it was very funny. Dr. Noguchi really enjoyed that there was he didn't get to see the musical, but he watched like a clip of the song, and I got to meet the cast, and I brought them headshots from Dr. Noguchi that he signed for them, but and they really appreciated that. But he says, I'm not the singing and dancing type, but I appreciate that people are sharing my story.
That's great. I read about that when I was researching this, and Dead Out Loud was something that I had really wanted to see when it was there. So I really hope that somebody remounts that show. It's amazing that he's a character in it. The other thing that he's in, though, is Faces of Death.
Yeah, which we include a clip of. Yeah.
Did he know what kind of movie this was going to turn out to be when he said, yeah? I mean, he's such a serious man of science, and this is considered like an exploitation film.
No, he did not know what he signed up for, and actually the whole office got into a lot of trouble and issues because of Faces of Death. So the LA County Coroner's Office was reluctant to want to work with any production throughout the decades because of how Faces of Death was received, and then its subsequent sequels. But if you go back and if you watch that specific section of the LA County Coroner's Office, it's actually quite. I mean, the cinematography alone in that in Faces of Death for the LA County Coroner's sequences is incredible, and it's a really interesting segment. Like you have to have a strong stomach, or it's tough to watch if you haven't seen a lot of like autopsy footage or death footage. But yeah, he didn't necessarily get into trouble, but the office was very reluctant to work on anything with us. And the only reason that we were able to get the footage that we have, that you see in the beginning when Dr. Fajardo is walking us through and saying, it's like a card catalog system. One goes out, another goes in. The only reason he was so free in showing us things was because he was on his way out. The board of supervisors basically forced him to resign, and at that point he was like, "Okay, come on in. I'll show you anything. Let's go."
Yeah.
But then, of course, after the fact, and after he was out of office, it became very difficult for us to go back and shoot there. So, the office remains understaffed, under budgeted.
What a surprise.
Yeah. and it's not just LA, it's all over the country.
Yeah.
When we screen this film, in different places, in Ohio, in New York, coroners and medical examiners who will come out and they'll say, "Hey, we're understaffed, we're under budgeted." The industry is, I feel like, we don't acknowledge these public servants the way that we should and that we could, and hopefully like the film in some small way can like put a spotlight on these public servants who literally sacrifice their life to do what is, I think, one of the hardest jobs imaginable, to see tragedy and to find answers,
Yeah.
to get families one step closer to closure so that they can move on. It's incredibly challenging.
I agree with that, and I think that he was so criticized for so many things, which it kind of seemed like they were trying to pull at any loose string that they could to try to get him out for political reasons. But one of the major criticisms was that he's such a publicity seeker, or he seeks the spotlight. Did you find that to be true with all your research that you did from him, that
I'm
that
curious
he
about.
sought to be in front of the cameras all the time, or it didn't seem that way to me from watching the film. But
What do you think, Keita?
I don't feel that way. I mean, he was just doing his job, and media. I think people more start to you know wanted to know cause of this during 80s. More people paying attention more, I guess. Um, so it just happened, during that time. He had to do what he has to do. I mean, other than Dr. Noguchi, who can do that, right?
Yeah.
He's that's his responsibility. Explain cause of the death, and so yeah, public more interested in people's deaths, and just happened like naturally. That's my opinion.
I think his stance on RFK was really bold because he could have gotten into a whole lot of trouble. To have a stance of, I'm not going to let the U.S. government touch this body until I've done my exam was huge. And I'm surprised that's not what got him into trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think people did try to get him into trouble for it, and he was sort of able to overcome that. Shortly thereafter, of course, we had the Manson family murders and Sharon Tate, and I think that sort of set him on this like trajectory of being this expert and being ahead of the law enforcement, and really shortly after that we then go into the era of Quincy and this popularization of forensics, in like a Hollywood setting, and Dr. Noguchi is responsible for that, for what we know now as the genre of CSI, predated obviously by Quincy, but we still see it to this day. Like Marcella Fierro, who is the woman in the film who comments on the Kennedy case, as well as Manson and Sharon Tate. There was a series about her made somewhat recently with Nicole Kidman playing Marcella's character. What's that called, Billy Ray? Scarpetta. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but like all of this is because of Noguchi. Like we can thank Dr. Noguchi for like this craze, this genre of I think true crime in a lot of ways, but like CSI, death investigation, it really does go back to Noguchi, and I don't think he ever got the like acknowledgement or respect. And obviously we saw the way that they sort of subjugated his character with this Japanese American assistant. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, this is a crazy town. Like, this town's run by a board of like 5 people. Like, the board of supervisors thing is real and it's weird. Are they? Okay. It's real weird. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking about this. Your film is coming out soon, right? When does it come out?
Yeah, so we are we were very fortunate to screen at a bunch of different festivals last year, both here in the States and internationally. Our international premiere was actually in Japan, and that felt very special because, as me and Keita talk about often, people in Japan don't know who Dr. Noguchi is, and we would love to change that. The film will be screening theatrically in late June, early July, and we're currently on the CBC with Canada, in Canada, but hopefully we can have
That's streaming?
Yeah, that's streaming with the CBC, but we're very much hoping, my hope with the film is that we can share Dr. Noguchi's story far and wide, and later this summer hopefully we'll be on different VOD outlets. But we'll be here in LA in late June, early July, and around the States. I think 20-something cities, right? Yeah.
Keita, did you have some last words?
Thanks for coming tonight.
Keita, what do you hope that is our people's takeaway from the film? What are you
Well,
hoping?
I just, because I'm from Japan, and I just want to bring this movie to Japan. Hopefully, distribute it. So I was, I was just talking to Ben. I'm trying to, hook up some producers who bigger distribution company. So that's kind of my hope, to let Japanese people know about how great Dr. Noguchi was here in U.S. His achievement, yeah.
And like, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but like Dr. Noguchi hasn't retired. He's still working. He I mentioned that he just got back from Japan, but he's already planning his European trip for next year when he will be 100 years old. But he has to travel around to different conferences, the National Association of Medical Examiners, the World Association of Medical Law. He has to get so many hours in person in order to keep his medical license, which has never lapsed. So he is never retired.
It makes me want to die just so
Same.
just so he can be my coroner.
Yeah. Well, it's an inspiration. Like, we see how the film ends, and we get the scope of his story, but like the story keeps going, and like he continues to motivate me to be better, and I think everyone who knows him, it's incredible. It's incredible. He still, goes up and down his stairs to go to his bedroom. He lives alone. He does physical therapy, and one of the things that he does physical therapy 3 times a week. He lays flat on his hardwood floors on the ground, and he gets up by himself. Like, that's hard for me.
No, I'm jealous of that discipline. I'm really jealous. I think his saying is tell it like it is, right?
Yeah.
He's a very like just the facts ma'am type of guy, and I think that's who you need in that job. And when he's talking about all these like extremely huge cases in Los Angeles that just all they're all, there's so many conspiracy theories about all of them. And when you go back and look at what he has said about each one, you're just like, yeah, he was right.
Yeah.
Like, Manson was a crazy religious group.
Yeah.
And he called it, like, right away.
And nobody believed him. Yeah. And the other thing, just sort of like to put a cap on it, is that, he says that the reason that he has lived so long and that he will live to be 100 is that because, being an expert in death makes him also an expert in life and living.
Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Take care.